All right, it looks like our numbers are starting to steady out, so we'll get started. So welcome to the Faculty of Nursing's Information Night. There we go. So quick agenda for this evening. We're going to do some introductions and housekeeping, just a couple of housekeeping notes. We ask that you keep your mics and cameras off. I know with webinar, it doesn't always give you that option, so that's a good thing. Save your questions until the end, or put your questions in the Q&A, not the chat, the Q&A. At any point in time, if you think of something, we will have time for questions at the end. So if you put them in there, we can get started off with those when we get to that point. We're going to do a land acknowledgement. We're going to do an overview of the nursing program. So what will you study? Why UCalgary Nursing? Our rural and Indigenous community roots, and the why to our new law readmission. We'll have some time for FAQs and questions, and then we'll conclude with our contact info. So here we go. All right, I need to make one amendment to this. So my name is Emma. I'm the team lead for the undergraduate and graduate programs here in the Faculty of Nursing. I am joined actually not by Dr. Shajani, but by Dave Patterson, our Associate Dean, Undergraduate Practice Education, who I will let introduce himself now. Dave?
Hi. We've only been using this platform for about 5 years. I think I know what was going on. My name is Dave Patterson. I am the Associate Dean for Practice Education here at the Faculty of Nursing. And my role is to work with you as students. And my responsibility is everything that is very much student related with your clinical practice areas. My background is as a neonatal intensive care registered nurse. Spent 10 years working in one of the level 2 2B NICUs here in Calgary. And but I am also working with the Canadian and Alberta Gerontological Nurses Associations, where I'm the president of the Alberta group. That is confusing to some people because my specialty practice was all baby related, and gerontology is the work with and studying of aging adults. And what I find is very much the nice part about nursing is that you can do whatever kind of nursing that appeals to you. And with me, both the NICU and the gerontological work is all about the families and the patients. So we'll talk more about that later.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. And Dave and I are also joined by Monmoy from the student recruitment team. So Monmoy is here to help us with the technical aspects of things, as well as questions that may come up from the recruitment side of the house. So we're going to start things off in a good way. The University of Calgary, located in the heart of southern Alberta, both acknowledges and pays tribute to the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation within Alberta, including Nose Hill Métis District 5 and Elbow Métis District 6. So we're going to dive on into what the nursing program is like. Starting with what will I study? So the program is 3 1/4 to 3.5 years. We'll get into that in a minute. And it starts off with an introduction to the practice of registered nursing in year 1, foundations that inform registered nursing practice in year 2, and year 3 is complexity, integration, and consolidation. So taking everything that you've learned across the program and consolidating it in more complex environments. So as I said, it's 3 1/4 to 3.5 years, ending in either the spring, summer term or the fall. So it's a condensed program for all students with spring courses in years 2 and 3 as part of the program sequence. So the 3 1/4 to 3.5, you'll see at the end there at year 3, it's if you do your final placement in spring, summer, or if you do it in fall. Half of students will do it in one, half will do it in the other. So that's kind of where that ending comes from. Year one is foundational courses, including some courses within the Faculty of Nursing. Clinical placements start at the beginning of year two, and from year two right onward, you'll have a clinical placement every term. The Bachelor of Science in Nursing is a generalist degree, so there's no majors, there's no minors, and no specializations. That's fairly standard for nursing education in Canada and really in North America. Your graduates are trained to work in all areas of healthcare, come out qualified to work in all areas of healthcare, and really the healthcare system will train nurses in specialties. So Alberta Health Services and the new health organizations like Acute Care Alberta will have their own in-house training to train nurses on what they need to know to work in those specialized areas. But otherwise, everyone comes out qualified for all areas of practice. So year one, students must complete 33 units of coursework. So that's 11 courses by the end of summer in order to progress to year two. So this is what that breakdown kind of looks like. So you've got some foundational courses like anatomy and physiology, introduction to nursing, Indigenous health studies, statistics, academic writing. It's also your only chance to take options within the BScN program. So you get an arts option, a science option, and 2 open options. And those are your option courses from years 2 and on. You are taking only nursing courses. So most nursing students take 5 courses in each of the fall and winter terms, and then 1 course in the spring or the summer term to meet that last requirement to progress to year 2. And I'll let Dave speak to year 2, where students start in clinical.
Thanks, Ellen. So the nice part about this program is that we do get students in that second year. We're running it currently right now in 350 and 351. And the fall terms are 6-week courses with the 1.5 units you can see on the screen. So 320, 321, as well as 350 and 351. The practicum-based units in this case are working with in health promotion, looking at different organizations and ways that we can help promote the health that is so important to our communities. And care of the aging adult is working in congregate living settings, which could be long-term care facilities, retirement centers, that type of idea. Now, coming up in January, the first group is going to be actually working in 12 weeks of clinical practice within the acute care hospitals. And this will be no matter where they are located in the province. The hospital sites are all expecting the students to come in and join us, which is when you will be there after when you get into second year. And then finally, in the second year, we do have a spring term that we offer, and that runs a consolidated practicum of 3 days a week. Both the winter term is a 2-day a week, as well as the fall semester being 2 days a week. So the clinical times, as it says on the screen, can be days, evenings, sometimes weekends. Right now, don't think we're going to have to look at that weekends for now, but maybe in the future we will. And it's just getting used to the fact that as a registered nurse, you will be working in hospital. If that is your chosen route, that does take into account the fact that we deliver care 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we will be hoping to give you the experience of all of those shifts before you are done your program.
Right. So why Calgary Nursing? What else do we have to offer? So you get over 1,600 hours of clinical practice learning. Our curriculum integrates our theory and practice. So those courses that Dave was just talking about, they are really integrated together. So what you're learning in theory one week might be directly related to what you're doing in your lab 2 or 3 days later, and vice versa. You might do something in a lab and then learn about it in theory the next day. So it's really designed to help build that knowledge base across your courses and help you apply what you're learning as you're learning it. Our group practice groups are also groups of 8 students. So your clinical group, who you do your clinical placement in your labs with, there are 8 of you with one instructor. So it gives you a great opportunity to develop friendships and really connect with your peers, which is something that not a lot of university programs have. Dave, do you want to speak to the other 3?
Sure. One of the nice things about working at one of the top 5 or so U15s in nursing. U15s are the 15 major universities across Canada, is that we have access to faculty members that are focused on research. So that as an undergrad student, and even a grad student, you have a chance to participate in research that the faculty and some grad students are working on, that you have the ability to participate in. So you get a kind of a heads up on that area of nursing practice. We also have hands-on learning, as Emma had said, through clinical simulation. We have a clinical simulation learning center that it's about 32,000 square feet on the main floor of the professional faculties building, with some rooms up on the second floor and some lab rooms up there as well, that are actually set up to look and act as if you are on the unit at the hospital. So we can change some of these around to being community placements, community sites, or they can be hospital acute care sites, and even sometimes some maternity suites and things like that can be offered up for your learning opportunities. And with the opportunity to collaborate across campus, we run interprofessional education things with courses with other faculties and other universities. Interprofessional education brings groups of students together. The last one that just ran this last week included dietitians, social workers. I think there were some veterinary medicine students there, as well as some med students, and nurses, of course, talking about how we can cooperate all the way through.
All right. And we're gonna, hold on, my computer is frozen. Here we go. We're gonna watch a quick video about the Clinical Simulation Learning Center that Dave was referring to.
Sorry, Emma, you got to keep your sound on.
Yeah.
Today's complex healthcare environments demand that registered nurses quickly assess patients' situations and make astute, sometimes split-second clinical care decisions. Welcome to the Clinical Simulation Learning Center in the Faculty of Nursing at the University of Calgary, where the use of simulation is a vital component of undergraduate nursing education. Simulation enriches the quality and breadth of learning from both a teaching and a learning standpoint. Within this center, our students learn on task trainers to master the psychomotor skills needed in practice. We continue to design bold, future-focused programming to fully utilize technology. Through simulated-based learning, students begin to think as the nurse they are preparing to become. They hone their clinical judgment and problem-solving skills without risking patient safety. For these experiences to be effective, our instructors design clinical encounters according to best practices. Not only do students apply psychomotor skills in scenarios, they also learn critical thinking and work on their communication abilities in order to establish therapeutic relationships with patients. Using high-fidelity simulation like Lucina, our birthing simulator, patient scenarios are created that mimic clinical events students may see in the real world. The Clinical Simulation Learning Center houses 32 basic patient care environments and also include 3 simulation suites, 3 control stations, and 3 debriefing rooms. All spaces are flexible and adaptable. A trained faculty member operates a simulator from the control room, controlling a mannequin's verbal responses, as well as the timing and progression of the simulation event. These parameters change depending on the level of the student and the learning objectives. Believable makeup, props, people, and interactions are created in order to heighten the perception of reality for the learner. In a supportive environment, students learn to openly give and receive feedback, rethink actions, reactions, and decisions, as well as review their errors, all of which contribute to professional growth and development. The CSLC operates on the basic assumption, as defined by Boston Center for Medical Simulation, that everyone participating in activities at our center is intelligent, capable, cares about doing their best, and wants to improve. Promoting optimal patient care and safety enables our graduates to effect meaningful change as innovators and leaders in healthcare.
All right. So that is, I mean, you can tell that video might have been made a couple years ago, given that everyone's wearing masks, but that's a great overview of what our Clinical Simulation Learning Center offers our students as part of our hands-on and immersive education. Another thing that University of Calgary's Faculty of Nursing specifically offers our students is our NP-led mental health and wellness clinic. So we have a nurse practitioner-led clinic supporting nursing students, faculty, and staff. So this is only open to students in the Faculty of Nursing. And it is designed to specifically support nursing students navigating the unique stressors of nursing education and nursing school. So they offer certain things like scheduled one-to-one counseling for short-term stabilization, nursing-specific wellness coaching to navigate the stressors of the nursing program, emotional regulation and stress management tools, psychoeducation and workshops that combine life skills such as self-compassion, meditation, mindful breathing, and building foundations of health, as well as drop-in hours. They have a calm space to unplug and de-stress. They have things like heart math, art therapy, they've got a red light, all kinds of things just designed to help nursing students and nursing faculty just manage some of that stress. So it started as a pilot project and has been made a permanent fixture within the faculty, which is really exciting for us. I do just want to touch as well, along with our programs at the main campus at the University of Calgary, we also have our rural and Indigenous community roots. So for those of you who are from outside Calgary, might be from different rural Alberta communities, you may have heard about this. So our rural and Indigenous community roots allow students to earn a nursing degree without leaving their home community. So right now we've got programs running at Drayton Valley, Wainwright, and Bonnyville. Clara's Home and Drumheller are coming online next year for the rural community route. The Indigenous community route is also running at Bonnyville, so that's one cohort with students from both routes. We've been running at the Siksika Nation. We're coming on to our 4th year here. Our first group of students will graduate at Siksika this year. And Tsuut'ina Nation's coming on for fall 2026 as well. These programs use a blended model of online and in-person learning. So students do their theory classes online with the students from the other rural sites. So you get to connect with students from those different locations. And then their labs and clinical placements are within their community and the service area of that site. So if you live near one of those communities and you might be wanting to learn more about that, visit our website because we are running an info session all about these routes in 2 weeks. We also have our collaborative Bachelor of Science in Nursing program with Medicine Hat College. So if you're from the Medicine Hat area and are interested in that, contact the college because admission to the program is initially through them. But we do have kind of a wide variety of programs to meet different learner needs. So the lottery admission process, I'm already seeing a lot of questions in the Q&A about lottery admission. I'm just going to tell you right now, the first lottery draw has not been done. I believe it's happening in the next week or so. It should be happening sometime in November. So that answers, I think, probably the most frequently asked questions so far. Effective fall 2026, we are moving to a lottery admission process. This change is being made in response to the increasing admission averages and the really high numbers of nurses we're seeing leaving the profession within the first 2 years of practice. Right now, nursing has an attrition rate of nearly 50%. Half of nurses are leaving in the first 2 years. The lottery process is going to allow all qualified applicants to have an equal chance of admission and creates more opportunities for students who really want to build lifelong nursing careers. So it's going to encourage nursing applicants to prioritize their extracurriculars, their volunteering, part-time jobs, work-life balance, and manage their mental health and well-being when you don't need to have that 93, 94% average to get into nursing. It gives you a little more flexibility to, have that balance. So this QR code, so from the Faculty of Nursing perspective, and we're the ones presenting tonight, we talk about the why. Why did we choose to do this? Admissions talks about the how. So scan this QR code to learn more about how the admission process works and the admission requirements. The minimum competitive lottery threshold this year is 82% for high school and 3.0 for transfer. So all students who meet that minimum threshold will be eligible for the lottery. Move into some FAQs here. So what should I do if I don't get into nursing? Should I go into another program and then transfer? What's the best route? It's a little hard for us to say this year because, as I said, this is the first year of the lottery admission route. I can tell you that the lottery admission is also being applied to a change of program. So students who are in another program at the University of Calgary and want to move into nursing. So it's really up to you to decide if you want to go into another program, take some courses, and then apply for lottery, or if you want to take a year off. If you've already met the lottery threshold, you don't need to upgrade, but take a year off, work, travel, something like that, and reapply. Either of those are valid choices. I want to go into medical school. Is nursing the right undergraduate degree to prepare me? So as we mentioned earlier, nursing students get 4 option courses in their first year of the degree, and that is it. An arts option, a science option, and 2 open options. I can't advise on med school admissions. I don't work for a medical school, but I can tell you that in the over 8 years now that I've been advising nursing students, I've seen a lot of students get towards the end of their nursing degree and realize that they have no flexibility, no space in their schedule to take courses that are required, either prerequisites for medical school, recommended courses for the MCAT, courses that would be needed for physio school, optometry school, law school. I've seen students wanting all of those things, and the nursing program just doesn't offer the flexibility to take the prerequisite courses. Nursing is a professional program in its own right. Our students go on to write the NCLEX exam, which is a standardized licensing exam used across North America, and earn the designation of RN and are registered with the College of Registered Nurses of Alberta. So our curriculum is structured to meet those outcomes, train students to be nurses. It's not structured as a stepping stone or as a ladder to something else. So if med school, physio school, dental school, optometry school, if those are the goal, I would seriously consider if nursing is going to be the right pathway, if nursing is going to give you what you need to get to that longer term goal. Can I take a reduced course load and spread my degree over 4 years or longer? No. So the nursing program is highly structured, as I said. And all of the courses in a given term have to be taken together. They're all co-requisite to one another. They're also only, for the most part, offered once a year. So the courses that run in the fall only run in the fall. So if you didn't take all of them, you'd have to wait until the following fall to take the rest of them before you could move on to the next term. That wouldn't really be feasible. So it is designed to be taken as it's structured. Do I need to take the CASPER test? So for those who don't know, the CASPER is a standardized admission exam used by a number of healthcare programs, including lots of nursing programs. The Faculty of Nursing has chosen not to require the CASPER. We don't accept those scores. They won't be considered at all as part of admission. It's not required for us. Do I have to take spring courses? Yes. So in year 1, you need, as I said, 33 units or 11 courses to move on to year 2. Have I seen students try and take 5 courses in one term and 6 in the other? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Do I recommend it? Not as much. It's just a really heavy course load, especially for your first year. It's much better to spread it out and take that last course in the spring. In year 2, those spring courses are required. You can't move forward in the program without them, and they are only offered in the spring. So as Dave mentioned, it is a consolidated practicum. It's 3 days a week, and that is required to move forward. So you do have to take those spring courses. At the end of your 3rd year, you can either choose to do your final practicum in the spring, summer, or you can do it in the fall. So that one there is a little more flexibility on that last spring. And with that, we will open things up to the Q&A. So I can see that Monmoy has been doing a great job of answering some of these questions for you folks, especially about the admissions and the lottery. And Dave and I will be taking on your questions about nursing. So first question, Dave, I'll let you speak to this one. Are your practicums paid?
Well, that's a good question. Currently, there are no paid practicums for nursing programs. Alberta Health Services did try during the pandemic to pay students in their final focus under a hybrid undergrad nursing employee program. The drawback was that it was hard to determine when the student was a student and when the student was an employee. There are ways of funding some of the expenses that go with the practicums, and that's through organizations like RHAP, which is the Rural Health Professions Organization. If you've got a rural placement, currently there is through the Work Integrated Learning team here at the University of Calgary, some funding that will pay for fees related to work integrated learning or practicums. And that's, I think they put the call out the start of every term. And I think that's up to about $500 to cover things like parking and stethoscopes and uniforms and the such. But no, it's not a paid practicum per se.
All right, our next question is, how does the nursing year 2 program work? So I'm not sure if you're referring to admission into year 2 or exactly what you're referring to, but we do offer admission directly into year 2 for students who meet the requirements for that. That information is available on our website. But those students would enter directly into year 2 and complete the remainder of that program. So it would be 2.25 to 2.5 years for students who enter directly into year 2. Would you have a choice as to which hospital facility you take your practicums at?
I'll take that one. And not usually, no, because there are a number of students that are working with practicums, not only through the University of Calgary, but through other nursing programs in the city and practical nurse programs in the city as well. So we have to negotiate with the sites to see which site will take students. And that's something, we have a clinical placement team that does that for us. Where the choice or the preference may come in is in your final focus. We try to look at sites that are, we try to honor the students' preference requests, but we have so many students and so few placement areas that you will end up working at all 5 hospitals, the 4 acute, the 4 adult ones, and maybe the children's hospital as well. Or you'll be in clinics throughout the city. You may have urgent care centers such as Cochrane Airdrie or Okotoks that you'll be at. And hospitals such as the main tertiary care hospitals in Calgary, Peter Lougheed, Foothills, South Health Campus, and Rocky View General Hospital. But you could also be out in High River at the High River General Hospital in Strathmore, in all of these areas that are within driving range of Calgary. So you'll find out where you're placed once as the semester gets closer.
So yeah, we aren't able to give students a choice, but most students will experience a pretty wide variety of placement sites. Do you think the faculty would ever change the lottery system back to GPA admissions? That's not the intent. So the intent is that we have moved to the lottery system permanently. It's not a temporary change. If there were to be significant issues with the lottery system identified, then of course it would be revisited. But the lottery admission is part of quite a long research study that's being initiated by our dean as well. And so they will be tracking student success over the course of the degree program, as well as career success and career retention for, I believe it's 5 years following the program. So if that research were to show that it wasn't successful, then yeah, it would be revisited. But until that point, we intend to follow the lottery. Does the nursing program offer scholarships for any incoming students? I'd encourage you to visit the awards website. There's a lot of information about different scholarships. We don't really have specific nursing ones, but there's lots of entrance awards at the University of Calgary. We've got a couple questions about how many seats are offered and the acceptance rate due to the lottery. So seats, we're typically between about 250 and 300 seats per year. It just depends on some factors like our government funding. The acceptance rate, well, we don't know what that's going to be because it's going to be however many applicants we have and however many seats we have, and applications have only been open for a month and a half. So we don't know how many applications we're going to receive. That changes year to year as well. So it's hard for us to say what the acceptance rate is going to be. Does the university follow the same schedule as public schools? I'd encourage you to review the university's academic calendar online. I believe it's just calendar.ucalgary.ca. But no, our calendar is not directly aligned with the public school or any other school boards. It is the University of Calgary's own academic calendar. What is the guarantee that you will get chosen for the lottery admission? There is no guarantee. So everyone who meets that minimum competitive threshold is put into the lottery. And then the chances of being selected in the lottery are based on the number of applications that we receive, the number of qualified applications we receive. So there's no guarantee for anybody. Can you take extra courses during the degree to enhance your specialized learning in a particular area, or is that something you do later on defined by your career specialization or area of work? I'll start this one off and then I'll pass it on to Dave to elaborate. But you cannot take extra courses during your degree. You are already taking a full course load every single semester. There's no way to add in extra courses, and there aren't extra nursing courses offered. But I'll let Dave speak to things you can do after you graduate.
Once you graduate, you'll have the ability, if you're registered here in Alberta, to practice as a graduate nurse. And that status stays there for 6 months or until you pass the NCLEX exam, which is the international licensing exam for registered nurses. And all of the specialty training that a lot of people are interested in, things like OPACA for the operating rooms, or the extra training for any of the PEDS specialty courses, or the NICUs, and all of that specialty work is done through the employer of the individual. In that case, what you'll see is that those courses will be offered through, for instance, Acute Care Alberta and Alberta Health Services, or Covenant Care, Lamont Care, any of the big hospital-based systems that are present in Alberta. So the best thing to do is to get through the program, become a grad nurse and then an RN, and then figure out where you're going to be and what type of specialty work you want to look at.
Perfect. Can my LPN hours be considered for the RN program if I have credits for that? So we are not a bridging program. We do admit LPNs based on their prior post-secondary education, the same way we admit people with lots of other post-secondary backgrounds. So we don't consider practice hours as part of it because we're not a bridging program, whereas like a program like Athabasca's program is a bridging program. That being said, lots of LPNs do get credit for some of the first year courses because some of the courses are transferable. So it would just depend on where and when you did your LPN program, what would be transferable. And I'll have contact information up on our next screen at the end. You can contact us for more information about that. How competitive is the nursing program? Do you have statistics of applicants and how many in average getting accepted per academic year? So the number of applicants really ranges year to year. It's hard for us to say. This fall 2026 is going to be our third intake for the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. With our move to the Bachelor of Science in Nursing, we changed the structure of the way we do our admissions. So we admit all of our students in the fall now, whereas we used to do both a fall and a winter admission for different applicant types. And so we don't have a lot of statistical data to go on yet for what those rates are looking like now. We've only done 2 admission cycles so far, so I can't really say. And it really varies year to year depending on how many people apply and how many of those applicants are qualified. Can you choose only morning or evening classes in your first year? So in your first year of the program, you're taking a wide variety of foundational courses, as well as your options. So you're in courses kind of all over campus in different departments, different areas, things like that. I don't think it's really possible to have only morning or only evening classes, just knowing, for example, our anatomy and physiology class, the lecture is always in the morning, but then we have a wide variety of different lab times. However, other classes are definitely not going to be morning classes, so that it's not really feasible to have all mornings or all evenings in year 1. And in years 2 and up, classes and labs are typically, you'll be on campus either a half day or a full day. And clinical placements, as Dave said, they can be 5 in the morning, they can go till midnight. They're kind of all over the place. What are the campus address for different years of the nursing degree? I'm not 100% sure I understand your question, but the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program is all based out of the University of Calgary's main campus. So all lectures, all labs, all of that will always happen on main campus. And then the clinical placements, as Dave kind of spoke to, can be anywhere in Calgary or the Calgary area at any of the different hospitals, community care centers, things like that. What is the process of being a nurse practitioner after nursing school? So the University of Calgary's nurse practitioner program is on hold and has been for about 5 or 6 years now. So I can't speak to it in detail because it's not something that we offer. But typically in Canada, you would be looking at doing a combined Master of Nursing nurse practitioner program, or doing a Master's in Nursing and then doing a Postmaster's nurse practitioner program. It is required to have a master's degree to be a nurse practitioner. There's a number of different schools that offer it in Alberta. Both the University of Alberta and Athabasca University offer an NP program. University of Saskatchewan has a large program as well. But it would typically be that you would need a certain number of practice hours as an RN, and then you would enter one of those 2 types of programs and go from there. What percentage of seats do you have for international students? So we don't have a quota for international students. We don't have like a set number of seats. We just admit international students as part of our overall admission. After finishing nursing, can I go straight into the work field? Dave, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, you can. And it really, the provincial government in the last UNA negotiations, the United Nurses of Alberta and the provincial government and the healthcare authorities agreed that the provincial healthcare sites would be hiring 1,000 new grads a year. And that means that there will be jobs, and there is never a shortage of folks that can work in those jobs. And the nice thing is that by having that 1,000, those are geared towards new graduates. So there should be jobs available for everybody, no matter where you are.
And on that note, we have another question. What is the career and job prospects for an RN of U of C? And also, does the university have resources to help with employment for new grads?
Okay, yes, there is a career and advising center on campus, and they work very closely with students throughout the program or throughout the campus, but they have people that are specialists working with the nursing students. We have a number of ways that we can. A lot of the courses will have folks coming in from different sites that are looking to hire new students and talking about the procedures to do that. AHS usually has a hiring presentation that's done, and other organizations such as Island Health and other BC health authorities, as well as Manitoba and Saskatchewan, run sessions on looking for new staff and after the students are graduated. And those are run in conjunction with the Undergraduate Nursing Society, which is the student group that is the advocates for our nursing students.
Perfect. And I will just add that we do have the Center for Career and Professional Development or Personal Development at the University of Calgary as well. And they can support students with things like resume creation, mock interviews, things like that to help with employment as well. What factors reduce the time to complete the degree from 3.25, 3.5 years? This person has a bachelor's degree already, so they want to know if they would take less electives or other classes. So this is very dependent on the specific courses that you have from your first degree and if you are eligible to apply for admission directly into year 2. So students who meet those admission requirements for year 2 and enter right into year 2, it would take 2.25 to 2.5 years to complete. If you don't have the courses required for year 2 admission, you would enter into year 1, you would receive some transfer credit, and you'd be able to take a reduced course load in your first year, but it wouldn't reduce the time it would take to complete the degree because you have to have all of year 1 done to move on to year 2. Can someone with color vision deficiency study nursing and be a nurse after graduation? Dave, I'll let you speak to that.
That's a very good question. We have had people with vision deficiencies in the program. There are some areas where it's much harder to be a nurse with that type of deficit. However, we have ways around that. So we work very closely with the Student Success Center and the Student Accessibility Center to make sure that everybody has a good chance of getting the supports that they need.
Is there any other special criteria for admission besides the course requirements? No, admission is entirely based on that lottery. So there is, as long as you meet those minimum competitive thresholds, that is all that is considered. The only exception would be the student access program, which is designed for students who have faced significant hardships that have impacted their education. So there's some pretty specific criteria for that, but that would be the only exception, the only difference in criteria, and the seats for that are quite limited. And on that note, we have another question. On average, how many individuals apply for the University of Calgary's nursing program? And will there be an alternate route if your grade doesn't meet the quota? So as I said, if you don't meet that minimum competitive threshold, the only alternative is the student access program, and that is only if you qualify. It's not just an extra way to apply. It is specifically for students who have faced significant hardships. In terms of an average number of applications, as I said, this is only going to be our third year of admitting through this program route. And so it's hard to say what it's hard for us to have an average because we've only followed this admission pattern twice. Previously, we did it in 2 different cycles. So it is hard to say.
I'm going to take the next one talking about how clinical placements are assigned. There is a session that there's a group of people that work to arrange the sites, and then placements are determined by the course coordinator that is one of the faculty members, as well as everything is signed off by either myself or Dr. Shujani, the Associate Dean for the undergrad program. Most of it is random, and otherwise, when it gets into the final focus, then we'll take into account some preferences that there's a couple of surveys that go. I know in some of the bigger courses, it is randomized and done through the computer drawing system. And that's just making sure that we have the right number of students in each different practice location.
What happens if you don't pass a course during first, second, or third year? So typically students would be required. So first year is a little bit different. It would depend on if there was an opportunity for you to retake it during a subsequent semester before year 2 started. In years 2 and up, you would be required to retake the entire term of courses at the next opportunity that is offered, as most of our upper year courses are only offered once per year. So you would be waiting until the following year to return to the program. So I'm seeing a lot of questions about admissions and some pretty detailed and specific questions about individual circumstances. I will have the admissions information up on the next slide so you can contact them because a lot of these are pretty in-depth, pretty specific. So if you have someone's asked, if you have a master's degree, would you be considered as a high school applicant due to lack of relevant courses? No. If you have more than 3 post-secondary courses, transferable post-secondary courses completed, you are considered as a transfer applicant. If you have multiple degrees, you are not considered under high school. You mentioned that the first year has 11 courses. How many courses should be taken in each semester, fall, winter, and spring? So typically we would say that students should take 5 courses in the fall, 5 courses in the winter, and 1 course in the spring. Some students choose to do like 4, 2 spring, 1 summer. If you're okay with taking spring and summer courses, that's an option, but you have to have all 11 done by the end of summer in order to progress. Do transfers and high school students have an equal chance of getting into the program? Yes. Yes, they do. I've also seen a couple questions about application fee waivers. Typically, the university does not provide application fee waivers. If you, you should all be able to see questions that were answered in the chat, and Monmoy has provided some information to a question about that already. So the only time application fee waivers are available is to Indigenous students in specific situations. So you would have to have attended some certain events and things like that. There's no other application fee waivers available right now. Can you defer your admission on to the next year? Admission deferrals are only permitted in extenuating circumstances. So that would be something that is defined as being unforeseen, short term, with a defined end date. So that we don't want to see students with situations that are going to stretch out and impact them as they're trying to enter the program the following year. It can't be something that you planned for. You can't just defer because you've decided you want to go traveling, because you want to work. It would be some deferrals I've seen have been things like someone got in a car accident after they were admitted and has a concussion and can't start school, something that you really couldn't have anticipated. You just need a little more time and you'll be ready to go the following year. How is life as a nursing student at U of C? Is there flexibility for a part-time job? There definitely is. I would say, and Dave can chime in too, but probably the vast majority of our students do have some type of part-time employment. In the upper years of the program, a lot of our students work as healthcare aides or what are called undergraduate nurse employees for Alberta Health Services. The only challenge is that your schedule changes from semester to semester, and we cannot accommodate employment schedules when scheduling clinical placements. So you have to be able to work your employment schedule around your school schedule.
The other place that it comes into play is when we get into the preceptorships or the final focus. We try very hard not to put people on working on the units that they are if they're working on a unit as a healthcare aide or as a UNE, then we try not to put that unit or that student in that unit, just because we want it for the final focus. We want you to work with the registered nurse, with a preceptor, and you would work all of their shifts with them so that you're at the elbow or they're at your elbow. And those shifts can be run, can be 12-hour shifts, they could be 8-hour shifts, they could be days, evenings, weekends, and nights. So it makes it hard when you get into some of the higher level courses because of the additional time that you're in clinical practice to make sure that you're able to work and still work to be available for your clinical placements.
All right. What is the dorm situation? What dorm is closest to the nursing campus? So you would need to speak to Residence Life for details about on-campus living. The residence halls are all over on the far end of campus from where the Faculty of Nursing, where the professional faculties building is. That being said, there isn't really a nursing campus. The Faculty of Nursing is located on the University of Calgary's main campus, and that's within the professional faculties building is where students will have their labs. Lectures will be in any building across campus where there is room. We don't actually have our own lecture theaters. And clinical placements will be, as we've mentioned, all over the Calgary area. So the distance between specific buildings doesn't really come into play. And typically first year students all live in the same couple of buildings. So that wouldn't really be something you could control. Based on what you've seen, which courses in each year are typically the hardest for most students? So I can start by speaking to year one, and I'll let Dave speak to the upper years with the caveat that we're only running the second year of the BScN for the first time. So we haven't run most of the courses in the upper years of the BScN yet. Year one is very similar to our previous year one though. So I can say many of our students really love anatomy and physiology, but students who struggle in it tend to really struggle in it. That being said, Nurse 203 and Nurse 204 are taught by a fabulous instructor, Dr. Carol Croker, who will really help students make sure you get the support you need. Statistics is one that some students can struggle in. And the other one that students either do really, really well in or struggle in is academic writing 303. If you're not someone who enjoys research and writing, that can be a little bit of a challenge. It is also a web-based course, and so you don't have those lectures in person that some students kind of depend on to keep them on track. So that's, of course, can be a struggle for some students, but a lot of students also do really well in it, and it's really important to build that strong writing foundation in year one, because you'll be doing a lot of research and a lot of writing as you move up in the program. And Dave, do you want to speak to the upper years?
Upper year courses can be very heavy with content. We're trying very hard to make sure that you're not overwhelmed with content, but you have to have a basic understanding of human anatomy, which is why the anatomy physiology class in first year is so important. But then we start looking at some of the pathophysiology and the pharmacology of ways that we look after people, and treatments that are provided, and knowing the understanding of what it means to have a chest tube, and to know what has to happen for a sterile dressing change. All kind of ways that things do get fairly heavy, but we work very hard to give you the resources to be able to handle that level of information coming at you.
All right, we're coming right up towards the end of the night, so I'm going to move on to our next slide. If you have further questions, so the first QR code and URL are for admissions. So if you have questions about admissions, they're the ones you want to talk to. And the second one is for detailed nursing advising. If you have specific questions about the nursing program, transfer credit into nursing, things like that, you can contact the undergraduate and graduate programs office, which is my team. And you can reach us at nursing@ucalgary.ca. So I'll just keep things going for we've got 2 more minutes. So I'll just keep things going in case a couple more questions come in. But as I've mentioned, a lot of the questions we haven't answered have been either about the lottery process, which is all of that's outlined on the admissions website, or other admission questions, or very specific personal situations where you should be contacting either admissions or the faculty for some more one-on-one personalized advising.